Excellent. And we are live once again. Goodness, it's already Thursday. I cannot believe that. And next week, is it literally next week? Yes, we are 1 week away from April. Cannot believe it. That is insane to me. Oh, goodness gracious. Anyway, for those of you joining us in the live chat, I'll remind you a couple times, but if you would leave a comment in the chat, that'd be wonderful. For my records, I'll take care of that when the time is appropriate. I wanted to give a reminder as to what is due imminently, and then I want to show you the first steps into the new unit, the new chapter that we are going to be covering with some drawings. I really like these drawings, but we'll deal with that when the time is appropriate. We'll get there in a minute. But like I said, for right now, leave a comment in the chat. That would be wonderful. That'd be fantastic. A reminder to you all, and a couple people have already turned it in, but you do have an assessment, a fair division assessment due tomorrow. It is due tomorrow at 7:20 a.m., right at the beginning of the school day. So you do have time to work on that. If you do have any questions, please make sure that you are emailing me, and we can jump on that. It says there are 2 people in the chat, but I don't see any comments on the thing. That is weird. Anyway, I wanted to introduce this new chapter to you by drawing a picture, but I would like you guys to copy down this picture because this picture encapsulates what this new unit, what this new chapter is about. So if you do not already have them open, I'm gonna need those notebooks out and open. Yeah. Hold on. Thursday. Friday, there's no school. Yes. But here's the weird part. Even though the marking period ends on Thursday, grades are not due until the 15th for teachers because of spring break. So depends on the teacher, but if there are things to be turned in late, some teachers would be like, nope, April 1st was the cutoff, and some teachers would be like, well, so it depends. I'm not going to speak for other teachers, though. Let's see what we got here. Today is the 25th. Is it? Yeah, the 20. No, it's not. Yes, it is. It's the 25th. 3/25/21. Let me flip my screen over so we can all see that. Duplicate. Boom. There we go. Wunderbar. I see you people in that chat room. Draw these pictures down. So, I want to talk about the bridges of Koinsberg. I want to say it's spelled that way. I got to double check that. I'm pretty sure there's 2 dots over the O, and I'm pretty sure it's Koinsberg and not Koinsberg, but I'll double check that in a moment. Regardless, it is a town in Europe whose name is difficult to pronounce. But the reason why they call it the bridges of Koinsberg is because of the way that the town is configured. See, a long time ago, when they founded this town, they founded it around multiple rivers. And I'm going to show you what that town looks like in a little rectangular snapshot. Now, the town was technically broken up into 4 land masses. And I'm going to try and draw this as best I can. And I'm going to ask that you, of course, copy this thing down as best that you can. Let's see here. And I'll explain how this thing works once I get it finished. I think that'll do it. Yeah, that'll definitely do it. So there are 4 land masses in this town. And for the lack of a better term, I'm just going to call them A, B, C, and D, because I have no idea what they would be pronounced in whatever language. I think it's German, might be Polish. I'm not sure. I'll look it up. Austrian. But there's landmass A, landmass B, landmass C, and landmass D. Those are the 4 landmasses. Now, I'm going to do my best to kind of shade these in lightly. Do I have... This is purple. I thought I had a blue colored pencil in here. Oh, good, a highlighter. I got a blue highlighter. And the reason why I'm shading this in is because these are the rivers. This is the waterway that goes through the town. There's a little island in the middle, and this river splits off. Now, again, you could do your best to kind of lightly shade, because I have to add the bridges in a moment. But those are the waterways. And now, in this town, and I'm going to double check the spelling a little bit, like I said, but in this town of Koinsberg, there are bridges. There are actually 6 bridges that connect the land masses together, because these rivers can't just be stepped across. These rivers are actually pretty large. It's a little bit difficult to do so. But these bridges are kind of in like weird locations. It's like wherever they decide to put them. Like there's a bridge right there. There's one bridge. I'll zoom in on this picture. There we go. There's one bridge right there. There's another bridge connecting here. There's another bridge down here. Another bridge right here. Another bridge right here. There we go. There's another bridge right here. There we go. So, no, but there was a 7th bridge. Let me just double check this. Yeah, there's one more bridge right here that they decided to do just for good measure on the side. Good. This is also known as the 7 bridges problem. It's also known as the 7 bridges problem. So now here is the game that the people of Koinsberg decided to play. And whenever people came to visit the town of Koinsberg, they decided to have people play this game as well. The game was finding a route where you cross over every bridge exactly once. There are 7 bridges. And the game was that they had to cross over every bridge exactly once. You cannot double back over a bridge. It's just a little game they played. I mean, if they can't do it, then they just go home and they try again tomorrow. But give it a try. Mentally give it a try. Start on any landmass. It does not matter which one you start on. And the goal is that you have to cross over the bridges, but you cannot repeat a bridge. And then if you can successfully get over all 7 bridges with no repetition, you win the game. Give it a shot. I'll give you a moment just to kind of like mentally kind of go through it while I freeze the screen and try to spell it with Koinsberg. Freeze. There we go. Make sure I spelled this correctly. Koinsberg. Ah, that's how you spell it. I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time. I'll correct it. There we go. I did get the double dots correct, though. I'm very happy about that. Just for the sake of argument, that's how you actually spell it right there. There's a K with that O double dot, and then N-I-G, and then S-Berg, Koinsberg. It's weird. The name of the town's not important. The game is important. The game is important. Cross over every bridge exactly once. Anybody do it? Okay. You think you have it? Huh. Oh, man. See, this is a real town in Europe. It's a real town. And it's a silly game. It's just a silly little game. Like, oh, yeah, just cross over every bridge exactly once. See if you can do the Koinsberg challenge. And no one can do it. Ultimately, the people of Koinsberg, they realize they're just like, well, it is actually impossible. No one can do it. No one can do it. But then the question was, why? Why is it impossible? Why can no one actually do this challenge? Eventually, during the 1700s, as the story goes, a mathematician by the name of Leonhard Euler, very famous mathematician of the 1700s, he came to the town and he took the challenge. He immediately recognized that this challenge is impossible, which is like, okay, yeah, other people knew that. But he was able to take it a step further, and he was able to mathematically prove that this challenge was impossible. He was able to mathematically prove that this challenge was impossible. And this mathematical proving seems like arbitrary. It's like, it's just a silly little game. How can this have any impact on the real world? It's just a stupid game of crossing bridges. But what you're going to come to find out in this chapter is that what started in Koinsberg, proven impossible by Euler, eventually led to impact the world more than we can ever imagine. Because this was one of the first of many routing problems. Routing problems. Question. You guys living in Barnegat, does your mail person, when they deliver the mail, do they always deliver it at approximately the same time every day? Yeah, give or take, maybe a half an hour or something like that. Yeah. Same thing with the garbage trucks. Garbage trucks, I don't know if you, I live in Manahawk, and I don't know if Barnegat does garbage and recyclables on different days. But regardless, they do it at approximately the same time. When there's a snowstorm and the trucks have to come through in order to plow the roads, maybe they don't come at the same time, obviously, because you don't know when a snowstorm's going to hit. But there is a certain route, an optimal route that they have to follow, or that they do follow, in order to get everyone done in the quickest way possible. Optimal routing is what this chapter is going to be about. And this silly little bridge problem from the 1700s that was solved by a mathematician, or proven to be impossible by a mathematician, eventually led to impacting today. It's not just about trash and mail and snow plowing. Any type of routing problem has this problem as its ancestor. I was thinking about it the other day. My wife and I are going to be going on a trip soon. And in order to go on this trip, obviously, you go to an airport. But when you go to the airport, it's just like, who the heck decides when flights are going to go? When are they going to fly out? What direction they're going to take? Things of that nature. It's a whole mind-crazy routing problem. And yes, computers do most of it today. But back in the day, you had to do this stuff by hand. And even if computers do it by today's standards, computers still have to be programmed by a human being. We're going to get into this. I'm so excited. Let me show you some of the old maps. Check this out. Let me go back. Because I spelled it wrong. That's the actual spelling. This is the bridges of Koinsberg. Let me look at these images. Some of these images are weird, but you can see these old little town map thingies. Come on. Open in a new tab. There we go. You can see like these old maps of Koinsberg and stuff like that. Now, obviously, the map isn't exactly what I drew, but these are one of the old like etchings of Koinsberg. Now, mind you, the water and the bridges, they were added in afterwards. But you can see how the four land masses interact with each other and how the bridges, the 7 bridges, are kind of positioned there. Now, question. While you guys were trying this problem, while you guys were attempting to do this challenge, you couldn't figure it out. Why did you run into a roadblock? What caused you to not be able to do the challenge?
Mostly because of the middle island, D and B. So because they have so many bridges connected to each other. Like B has 3 bridges, B has 5. That makes it more difficult to get through all 5 of those bridges.
I don't think it has to do with just B and D, though. I don't think it's just B and D. You could theoretically say the same thing about A and C. For those of you in the chat, what he's saying is, well, B and D, well, if you look at B, B has 3 bridges connected to it, and D has 5 bridges connected to it. You could say the same thing for A and C. A has 3, and C has 3. There is a very simple rationale. Now, mind you, Leonhard Euler was able to mathematically prove this. I'm not going to be showing you his mathematical proofs per se. I'm going to be doing a more simplified version of it. But basically, think of it in the following way. If I were to start anywhere, let's say I started on landmass C. If I start walking from landmass C, there are 3 bridges connecting me, right? By some arbitrary choice, I would leave landmass C by 1 bridge. At some point later in the game, I don't know when, I would have to re-enter landmass C, right? And then I would have to leave landmass C. And now landmass C is completely done, right? I am done with landmass C. All 3 bridges are gone. Now I'm over here. Then I can leave landmass B. And then at some point later on in the game, I'm re-entering landmass B. And I'm stuck. I can't get out. You said there were 5 bridges on D. And there were 3 on the other ones. The reason why this problem doesn't work, this is the simplified version. The reason why this problem doesn't work is because wherever you start, doesn't matter, at some point, because there are an odd number of bridges on these land masses, you're going to get stuck somewhere. And because you get stuck, you're never going to be able to hit all the bridges. Watch what happens. I can do the same thing with A. Leave A, come back, leave. Now I'm on B. Oh, that's the same thing with B. Let me try with, can I do it with D?
I did. It was started at C, the one on the left.
Yeah.
On the bottom, I mean, where your finger first.
Oh, this one? This one.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I went up to the first one on B to the left, and then down on B, and then up on C, then up on A, and then to the right down there, and I just got stuck there.
That's what I'm saying. At some point, you're going to get stuck. Hire a guy to build. Sydney says to hire a guy to build another bridge. Well, Sydney, the problem is with this ancient town, by the time that they realized that, okay, just build another bridge if you wanted to. I can show you the map, actually. On the map, all these houses were already built. Look at this. This is the actual map of the city. All these houses are already built there. Where are you going to build the bridge? You got all these places kind of in the way. I don't know. Just destroy them. I don't know. But this is Koinsberg, whatever they pronounce it as. Oh, this town. Love it. Get back out of there. Go back that way. I wonder if there's other types of things here. There's another famous representation of it, but oh, a color picture. I like color pictures. There we go. Boom. That's a fun one. So there's like farmland and stuff like that. But regardless, let me get out of that and get back to here. It has to do with the number of bridges. The number of bridges on each landmass is odd. And because of that, something happens. I'm going to get into those details. Let's see what we got here. Zooming out. So this is all about routing problems. She says just swim across. But Sydney, that's part of the game. Part of the game is you have to walk across each bridge exactly once. That's the game. Anyway, a routing problem is finding ways to route a destination. Now, routing problems go hand in hand with something called optimization problems. Have you guys ever seen videos? Actually, no. Let me scratch that. Have you ever received a package from Amazon where the box was like ridiculously sized for whatever size item you were getting? You know what I'm talking about? Like you order like a watch and it comes in a box that's like it's like, I don't even know, it's a box the size of a small dog. And you open the box and all this packaging and stuff like that, and then there's your tiny little watch in the bottom. Have you ever had that? Like, maybe not a watch, but have you ever had a box like that? Do you know why they do that? No, not to keep it protected. It will be protected even if the box were proportionately small. It has to do with optimization. Routing problems and optimization are what this chapter is about. Optimization for Amazon is, well, we have a truck that is this full, and we know that the computer says that this watch is coming out. So the computer says that in order to optimize the size within the truck, we need to make the box this big. Because they can't just make the smallest possible box in order for everything. They need to load the truck in such a way where they will have minimal shifting within the back of that truck. Minimal shifting. It's pretty sick the way they do this kind of thing. But yeah, even Amazon with their routing problems. Goodness gracious. So finding a way to route a destination. There are a couple questions that we have to ask. Number one, does a route exist? Which in the question of Koinsberg, no, it doesn't. And then question number two, if it does exist, what is the optimal route? So those are the two big questions. Does a route exist? And if it does, what is the optimal route? Let me turn this thing around here. There we go. So now I got to draw Koinsberg. I got to redraw Koinsberg. That's what I got to do. I'm going to redraw Koinsberg, but I'm going to draw it in a slightly different way, in a way that Leonhard Euler would be happy with. There we go. There we go. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5. There it is, right there. Boom. This, I'm misspelling it again. I'll spell it right this time. This is Koinsberg. This is a mathematical way of drawing Koinsberg. Try to move that a little bit to get that glare out of the way for you guys there. There we go. A little bit better. But this is a mathematical way of drawing Koinsberg. This is landmass A, that little dot, landmass B, landmass C, and right in the middle here, there's landmass D. See, when we actually draw this, and this is a graph, is what they refer to it as. This is a graph. The way that they could represent destinations like landmass A, B, C, and D, are with these dots that we're going to call vertices. They could also be called nodes, but I'm going to call them vertices. And the connections between these dots are the bridges, but we're not going to call them bridges. We can call them edges or lines or what have you. So this is an example of a graph. This is a graph which is going to consist of vertices, and edges. This is going to consist of vertices and edges. The general idea behind it is that any real-life situation could be remapped like this. Now, I do want to bring up a place that I grew up at in a little bit, in a few moments, but I just want to give some definitions here. You all familiar with Settlers Landing? Cool. Anyone live there? No? Used to? Where?
It's not exactly Settlers, I think. I'm not really sure. I lived there for a few years, but kind of like school.
Okay, yeah, Dumpy School. Right around that hill?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I grew up on Mizzen. You know where that is? Ah, you suck. No. So there's two from Dumpy. There's two entrances to Village because Village wraps all the way around. Yes. Okay, just making sure. If you go down one of the entrances of Village, I can't because they named them like East and West, which is dumb. But if you go down one of the entrances of the Village, eventually come to Mizzen. But I digress. I'm going to do a little mapping of Settlers Landing. A little mapping, not a huge mapping, but a little mapping, just to kind of show you what's going on here. But let's give a few definitions of this thing right here. I gave you consisting of edges and vertices. Vertices are dots. They are destinations. Destinations, which in our case, it would be like landmass A, B, C, and D. Those are the places that we are traveling to. And in this case, I can give like a vertex set like this. This is a weird notation. But for this example, it's A, B, C, and D. So I'm going to leave this for myself because I got to draw something. And then edges are lines connecting the vertices. And in this case, this one's going to get a little weird. Yeah, this one's going to get a little weird. But let's see. AB. I want to make sure I get this right. Yes, okay. AD. I want to make sure I get all these bridges correct. BC. BD. CD. CD. There we go. All those bridges are absolutely correct. If you notice, I'm just kind of breaking this down to what Leonhard Euler did mathematically. He decided to let these destinations be vertices. and he labeled each of the vertices using some kind of notation. In this case, I'm using A, B, C, and D. So there are 4 vertices within this problem. But then the edges are the lines connecting the vertices. And yes, some of them do repeat because there are 2 connections between A and D. But if you notice, there are 7 edges that I wrote out. And these each represent the 7 bridges connecting the landmasses in Koinsberg. I'm going to go to Google Maps for this. So I want to see what this looks like because this is going to be fantastic. Oh, Google Maps. I'm going to look up settlers. Let's see. Maps. Let's see. Come on. All right. Okay. I'm going to look up my parents' house. And I'm going to look up a couple of my friends' houses. One more. And let's see. I can't remember the number. I think it was 7. I want to say it was 7. I'll double check that. I can tell which one it is. Nope, it wasn't 7. It was 9. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that works. I hope it works. If it doesn't, I'm going to be a little upset. Chapow. Boop. So this map is a little bit weird, but this map represents the 3 locations of my house and my 2 best friends' houses growing up. Now, obviously, Google Maps thinks that I need to go from my house to my friend's house on Village, all the way back to my friend's house on Admiral. And there's the Dunphy School. But that's what I was talking about, Village right here. With the Dunphy School here, if you go up to Village, eventually you'll come up to Mizzen. Yeah, my bus stop was actually right there. No, it was there. But I never went to Dunphy. Never went to Dunphy. So weird. Why didn't I go to Dunphy? Whatever, went to Collins. It's my deal. So I do want to kind of draw this out a little bit and figure out the connections that can take place. Not only the connections, but also the distances, walking distances in minutes. So let me see here. There's 3 connections here that I'm going to map out. There is Mizzen, there is Admiral, and there is Village. Now, just showing you right here what I'm putting up so far. Each of those 3 locations within Settlers Landing. Now, what's the beauty about this is that there are connections between each of them. There's a connection between Mizzen and Village. There's a connection between Admiral and Mizzen and Admiral and Village. Obviously, if there was more vertices, we could do something like that, but let's figure out these connections. So let me go back over here. Cut that out. Boom. Get rid of that. Boom. It says that there is a 7-minute connection. There is a 7-minute connection between Mizzen and Village, either direction. Then there is a, what? Oh, come on. I cut and paste you. There we go. There is a 6-minute connection between Mizzen and Admiral. And then there is a 9-minute connection. There is a 9-minute connection between Admiral and Village. Now, obviously, these connections, I mean, it depends on what direction you are walking. Some directions are more optimal than others, things of that nature. We can easily find a routing problem. If the three of us want to meet up, and we want to meet up in the fastest way possible, we can optimize this particular route based on the time, or in some cases, the money it takes to go from one vertex to the next. So more often than not, coincidentally, we actually would go in a certain direction to meet up with each other. I don't know if we ever thought about it like this, though. So, hold on. If I were to just, where's my marker? There it is, cool. This is me. This is my buddy Derek. And this is my buddy Frank. I think Sydney, you will remember, she's in the chat right now, but Sydney, actually, no, you'll remember Derek too. Actually, no, you'll remember Derek too. Goodness, because you were in ProbStat, and you're an AP, and she was an AP. Yeah, you'll all remember Derek. That's Derek. That's the famous Derek. But if we were going to optimize this particular route, whose house would we meet up at? And how would that happen? How would we get there? Now, for example, if we're going to meet up, we could say something along the lines of, well, it would be fastest if Derek and Frank both came to my house. Or we could think of it as, if we're all going to meet up somewhere, one of us would have to travel to someone's house to get them, and then together we would walk to the third person's house. So you could think of it as Derek would walk 7 minutes to get me, and then together the two of us would walk 6 minutes to Frank's house, altogether being 13 minutes. If we decided to do it a different way, for example, if I walked to Derek's house and then he and I together walked to Frank's house, that would take 16 minutes. Now, it seems kind of silly thinking of it in terms of 13 minutes and 16 minutes. But if it weren't minutes, think of it in terms of hours. If it were hours, 13 hours and 16 hours, all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, that's a lot of time. If it were days, 16 days versus 13 days, that's a lot of time. I mean, you could also say that Frank could walk to me and then he and I together could walk to Derek's. And we walked a lot around back in the day. Goodness. You guys know Gunning River Mall or Gunning River Plaza? Yeah. Goodness gracious. The Barnegat Diner didn't used to be in that back, not corner. It's not actually a corner, but it didn't used to be back there. If you look at the Gunning River Plaza, if you're looking at it to the right, I think there's this like building up front. I don't know what the heck it is now, but back in the day, it used to be like an exercise studio. And then even before that, it used to be a deli. And that's where we would meet up. We would meet up sometimes we would meet up on Saturday mornings for pancakes. It's a lot of fun. But this is what I'm talking about. It seems simple to be like, oh, well, a routing problem. You just go from one to the next. But as I go back to this other question, where is it? Number one, does a route exist? Number two, what is the optimal path? And optimal can mean many things. Optimal could mean distance. Optimal could mean money. Optimal could be time. It really depends on what you want it to be optimal with. You could be a mailman delivering mail. You could be somebody picking up trash. Doesn't matter. I got to give you some more definitions before we go dig a little bit deeper into this. Let's see here. Okay. Let me go back to, I'm going to draw something else here. Yeah, I'm going to draw this. Let's see. Yes. And then this will be, make sure I get this correct. So I want you guys to draw this, and I don't want to mess this up. Yes, there's a connection. There's a connection. Okay, good. Good. And good. I'm redrawing Koinsberg. But I'm drawing it in a slightly different way. Yes, I'm drawing it in a slightly different way. See, with Koinsberg, you don't always make. Yes, this does work. I will have to draw an additional bridge in a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, is that the connection? Hold on. I got to double check this. A, where is it? There it is. A connects to D twice, though. Yeah, it connects to D twice, so I'm going to have to flip that around. C and D connect twice. B and D only connect once. That's where I was messing up. Okay, I'm going to redraw this. I thought I had it, and then it fell apart. Let's try it again. I'm going to draw it in a slightly different way, but the letters are going in the same location. And then I'm going to give you some definitions here. So C connects to D twice, and then C is also connected to B. It's going to be a little weird. I'm drawing this in a very, very particular way. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Then B are connected to C, connected to D, and connected to A. And then A is not connected to C, but A is connected to D, but it's connected twice. So we're going to connect it once like that, and once like that. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Perfect. There's a reason why I wanted to draw it like this. There's a very particular reason why I wanted to draw it like this. Notice that when I draw something like this, it's very clear where the connections are being made. A has 3 bridges coming off of it. D has 5 bridges coming off of it. C has 3 and B has 3, and all the connections are valid. This right here is the reason why I drew this. This is not a vertex. This is not a vertex. I want to be very clear. Sometimes you will see graphs and mappings like this where you have 2 lines crossing over each other. If that is the case, the mapping should make it very clear whether or not it is a vertex. Even though it's like, well, clearly they're crossing each other. I understand that. But a vertex is going to be very bold. In this case, either like a bolded circle like this or something that's labeled with a letter. Just because 2 lines cross each other does not make a vertex. The mappings on these are very particular. So, a couple of definitions here. First of all, degree of vertex. Degree of vertex. It's the number of edges at that vertex. The number of edges at that vertex. In this case, A has a degree of 3. Simply put, A has a degree of 3. I'll write that right here, actually. So degree of A equals 3. And I can't really see that well. I was hoping to draw it a little bit bolder with a colored pencil. Ooh, that could work. Degree of A equals 3, because A has 3 vertices coming off of it. I could say, now I'm not going to do all of them. I could say the degree of D equals 5. Because, well, D has 5 edges coming off of it. 5 edges connected to that vertice. Cool. You could also refer to vertices as being odd or even. You could also refer to them as being odd or even. In this case, every single one of these vertices is odd. So no big deal there. Every single one of them is odd. They don't always have to be odd. They could be even. But they will be one or the other. Okay. Okay, 2 more definitions. Yes, 2 more definitions, and then I can show you something. Come on. 2 more definitions, and then I can show you something to kind of wrap this up today. I need to be very, very clear about the next 2 definitions. And I want to be very precise about the next 2 definitions. First, there is something called a path, and there is something called a circuit. And you absolutely need to know the difference between the 2. It seems silly to distinguish the 2 of them in such a way that I'm about to. But in terms of our problems, you need to be able to distinguish the 2. So a path is any sequence of vertices where an edge is used at most once. Any sequence of vertices where an edge is used at most once. Now, I didn't say exactly once. I did not say exactly once. I said at most once. And if that is the case, then a path is just basically, well, I'm going to bring up Koinsberg in a moment. In order to show you an example of a path. Here's Koinsberg. A, B, C, D. I go from A to B to C to D. That's a path. You can only use not every bridge, but you can only use a bridge at most once, meaning you can't go back over a bridge. But it said nothing about having to use all of the bridges. That's a very special type of path, which I will talk about after these 2 definitions. Because these are the last 2 definitions I want to give you today. A circuit is where you start and end at the same vertex, comma, edges are used at most once. A circuit is where you start and end at the same vertex. If you know anything about electrical engineering, a circuit, they talk about there being a closed circuit. A closed circuit is where you start and end at the same thing. You flip a light switch, you complete the circuit. If you flip a light switch to turn it on, you complete the circuit, and the electricity runs through all the wires, and the lights go on. Yay, oh, happy day. There's a reason why they call them circuits like that. In fact, the mathematical theories that Euler eventually dove into in regards to optimal routing not only apply to delivering mail and picking up trash and delivering Amazon boxes. Optimal routing also goes into electrical engineering. This chapter, this topic that Euler stumbled upon has so many applications outside of a silly routing problem of me getting to my friends' houses. I mean, yes, you could visualize it with me getting to my friends' houses, but optimizing routes, discovering if these types of routes exist, it goes so much deeper than you could ever imagine. So much deeper. It's insane. I want to go back to Koinsberg one more time. And again, a path is any sequence. A circuit, show to Koinsberg, I'm going to go to the map on the computer in a minute. A circuit would be A to B to C to D to A. I have to end up back where I started. Let me go to Koinsberg one more time over here. I don't like that map. I like that map better. Yeah, I like that map better. If I look at this map of Koinsberg, I am going to take Sydney's advice, and I am going to build another bridge. Yes, I know there's buildings in the way and all that other stuff, but I want to build another bridge. Now, Patrick, when you were doing the challenge at the beginning of class, you said you were almost there, right? If you could build a bridge connecting any two of the land masses, keep in mind this is A, this is B, this is C, and this is D. If you could build an additional bridge, where would you build it? A to C? Okay. Sydney says she wants the bridge named after her. So A to C, right here, maybe. This is the Sydney Dizon Memorial Bridge. Memorial Bridge. I don't know why it's the Memorial Bridge, but whatever. It's the Memorial Bridge. She says between B and D. Maybe we'll try that in a little bit. Anyway, so you got one more extra bridge. Tell me where to go. You can start wherever you want. That's okay. Oh, this one right here? Where am I starting? D. Okay, we'll start here. So this is where you want to start. You want to start at D. Where are you going now? Into B. Okay, so that's done. Oh, down to C. So that's done. Sure, go back up to D, so that's done. Back across to C, so that's done. No, it's not just the bridge. Say Sydney, he just named the entire bridge. I'm sorry. So back up to A, so that's done. So now you're in A. Oh, to D? Back to A. And then back to B to finish. You needed one additional bridge. You needed one additional bridge to get that thing done. Oh, man. Now, here's the key now. The degrees. The degree of A, the degree of B, the degree of C, the degree of D. We added an additional bridge. Now, I'm not writing this into my notes per se. I'm not putting this into my notes because I want to put that into next class. But we changed the vertices on here. B remains the same. D remains the same. The degree is the number of vertices, I'm sorry, the number of edges on that vertice. But now A has a 4 and C has a 4. You have exactly two. You have exactly two vertices with even degrees. That's a definition that we're going to learn next time. That's a definition that we're going to learn next time. But the fact that you now have two vertices with even degrees and two with odd degrees, I should say too, because of this definition, you'll see this definition. It's going to be nice. Now, here's the thing that's really going to mess with your head. They had there's an additional type of challenge to this, where you have to do the same thing, where you have to go over every bridge exactly once, but you have to end up back where you started. So what you just described was a path, just anywhere from one beginning to end. Cool. In fact, what you just described is what is known as an Euler path. It's an Euler path because you hit every single bridge exactly once. That definition next time. It's a special type of path called an Euler path because you completed the Koinsberg challenge with the Sidney Dysart Memorial Bridge. But a circuit, right now, a circuit is impossible. Impossible. You cannot complete a circuit with this system. You can't. I'm sorry, where you hit every bridge exactly once. Where you hit every bridge exactly once. You can complete a circuit. You could just be like A, B, C, D, A. Done. There's a circuit. But if you wanted the circuit where you hit every single bridge exactly once, right now it's impossible. These numbers right here actually prove that it's impossible. But I'm going to save that for another day. And we'll come back to this Koinsberg problem and see what we can do with it. I love it so much. Anywho, by the way, if you did add one more additional bridge, you could do it. Let me add one more bridge. Let me connect. I don't know why I do it, but I'm going to add another bridge right. That's D. I'm going to add another bridge right here. Now it's possible. Now it's actually possible. It's just insane to me to think about. But again, that's another day. That's for another day. If you haven't commented in the chat, please make sure that you do so. Make sure you there's a major due tomorrow. I didn't know how to get those words out. That's so weird. Anyway, but yeah, that's it. Toodaloo. Oh, it's Thursday. I'll see you Monday. Woo! Yep. Oh, no, I'll see you tomorrow.